All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, before we get going, super vintage. The album's called Guardians of Tradition, courtesy of Grooveyard Records. This is Southern rock, and this is a band from Greece. Okay, so my theory is on this stuff, people, is that Europeans and really people from all over the world, they like our traditional rock music, the stuff that came out years ago. They like it in these days more than we like it, right? We don't have radio stations that play songs that used to be all over the radio. And it's not just because they've aged out of the system. Keep in mind, we still have radio stations that are playing all of the pop and Billboard music from 40 and 50 years ago, which is a little weird to think about, but nothing that represents the classic rock of old. Anyway, one more time for super vintage, Guardians of Tradition. At least check it out, stream it. Guitar player Stavros Papadopoulos, fantastic guitar player, and he sounds a bit like Greg Allman. Yeah, he does, just a little bit. Not exactly, but a little bit. Again, traditional rock and roll, the kind of stuff that you won't hear on our radio stations these days. In fact, there's this tune by Jethro Tull, right? It's called We Used to Know, which is maybe the basis for Hotel California. Maybe, right? Over the years, Don Felder, who didn't join the band until after the Eagles were hanging out with Jethro Tull, believe it or not. What a double bill that is. It's the Eagles and Jethro Tull. Okay, one of these two things doesn't really belong here. I mean, these days, I would say, yeah, that's kind of a cool double bill. But in those days, you have this blues, folky, quirky, strange band from the UK with these boys who are trying to be like, the desert Southwest here in the United States. I mean, those two things just didn't really jive. But Don Felder used to hang around with the Eagles prior to joining the Eagles. One of his best friends was Bernie Ledden. So, they used to jam a lot prior to Felder actually being asked to join the band. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And Ian Anderson smartly has said, look, Hotel California is a better song, but he's also said that most likely Felder absorbed the music on a subliminal level because there are just too many similarities. First of all, We Used to Know. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. I mean, you've got this acid guitar solo from Martin Barre. You've got this crazy flute solo from Ian Anderson, and you've got just this almost Celtic folk song, which evolves into something completely different toward the end. Some nice acoustic guitar work in there as well. So maybe Martin Barre should get a writing credit. Ian Anderson should get a writing credit on Hotel California. Ian Anderson has never pursued this other than just saying, look, there are similarities, and we're going to take the high road here and say that there are only so many chord progressions in the world and that sometimes you get some overlap. But here's another interesting thing about Hotel California and We Used to Know. So the album that We Used to Know came out in 1969. And there's this famous line in Hotel California that talks about we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And Henley is taking this very outward approach during this song to call out things like Steely Dan, like he was competing with Steely Dan. I think Glenn Frey said that he wished the Eagles could write songs like Steely Dan was writing, basically say the kinds of things they were saying. And, again, Henley takes a shot and says they stab it with their steely knives. I mean, why would you say Steely Knives. That's like swerving way out of your way to make a reference to Steely Dan in your song. So it's possible that that spirit from 1969 might be We Used to Know. I know that's kind of a stretch, and I'm sure there have been better conspiracy theories put together, but I'm going to stick with that one. Look, no matter what you think about Hotel California or We Used to Know, proportionally, We Used to Know does not get anywhere near the attention. And I would say this: Hotel deserves more attention. It's a bigger, more iconic song. It's got these mysterious lyrics in it, which again adds to my conspiracy theory a little bit here. But here's the deal about We Used to Know: a quality band from probably one of their best albums, and it's nowhere to be heard. Yeah, I mean, you might hear Living in the Past. I don't even think you're hearing that anymore. You're not even hearing Aqualung anymore. You're not hearing Bungle in the Jungle. You're not hearing any of these Jethro Tull songs that used to be always on the radio. Much like I was talking about here with this band, there's no place for them to go. Mainstream rock stations are only going to play all of that, you know, minor key sort of angsty kind of post-grunge. Everybody sounds the same. The male vocalist has to sound like he's passive aggressive all the time. And there's no place for a guy like Ian Anderson, who used to wear tights and jump around and play the flute. You know, just being honest. I mean, just it's not, you know, your beta male necessarily, although here's the thing. Some of that guitar work from Martin Barre is beyond beta male. It's just fantastic. And look, Don Felder, terrific guitar player. I give him credit for organizing these thoughts of the guys in Jethro Tull and changing it up and making it into something totally different. And then, of course, Henley and Fry put the lyrics down, and the lyrics probably are almost as important as the music to that song. As much as I give Felder the credit for the music and Martin Barre and Ian Anderson, right? You've got to give a lot of credit to Henley and Fry. I'm thinking more Henley than Fry, but doesn't really matter at this stage. I mean, that song, yeah, it's the Don't Stop Believin' for the Eagles that just won't ever go away. Whereas I think We Used to Know should be a song that people get to hear, even just to kind of speculate, right? And say, wow, yeah, there are some chords in there, especially at the beginning, and the way the song progresses along and the way it's sung. And it's not as dramatic, it's more subdued. But then Martin Barre unleashes that acid guitar solo. Just amazing guitar work from him. And a band, I think, overall, Jethro Tull, you could do a video, and maybe I will, and maybe I have. I can't even remember if I did the music industry's war on Jethro Tull. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, there's no place to put Jethro Tull. They weren't a top 40 band, right? They're old. Their music is complicated. Sometimes the classical influences get in the way. People don't like to hear that kind of stuff. They want it neat, clean, and simple. And they had a few songs like Living in the Past that were pretty straightforward. It just depends on the album. I mean, Crest of a Knave, which stole the Grammy Award from Metallica, right? Where Ian Anderson told the world that, yes, the flute is a heavy metal instrument. Thank you for my award, and have a great day. So it was just a great moment. I mean, people are still angry about that today. All the Metallica people are like, this is an outrage. You know, he should give it back, and they should redo it, and how could they? Well, the Grammys have made plenty of blunders over the years. So this one, I'm with them, believe it or not. I know everybody else is like, you're an idiot because Metallica should have won. Yeah, they should have won. They didn't. Oh, well. Anyway, that's my video. Super Vintage, Guardians of Tradition. That's the name of it. And it's traditional Southern rock, a band from Greece. I know, doesn't make a lot of sense, but the world today doesn't make a lot of sense either. Courtesy of Grooveyard Records. It's a record label based in upstate New York. and all they do is put out guitar-driven mojo. So go get some mojo. All right, I'm done. See you soon.